of danger. Let's get these brothers to the round and call fine.
Okay, here's Zambia, where they're doing something about child sex abuse, right? And Irritated Genie is speaking on this. This is on the Predators Amongst Us, and we didn't get to play the whole clip where it links with what Mugabe is doing, the real story, what's really behind the so-called whitewashed headlines.
We all one people. The same conclusion we come to, without knowing anything about us, what we doing over here, they come to the same conclusion. And they did their studies. The people came, one of the things they did was that from their observation, most of the sexually abused children either became abusers or delinquents. So they're seeing the same problem that we're seeing, and they're trying to do something about it. I thought this was very profound. I said I wanted to show them some love for doing it. Participants expressed concern about the future of their children, not only in terms of their education, but also in terms of their influence over their peers, their own families, and ultimately the nation. And children are the future human resources of Zambia. Let's get these brothers to the round and call trying to do something about a problem that black people in Brazil, Europe, America, and all around the world are suffering.
And this pause right here. This is now going to talk about how new laws, how they've had to develop new laws in Zimbabwe and several African nations to regulate sex crimes of men having sex with boys. And they never had to have these laws previously because they never had these sort of sex crimes. They never had this sort of crime. And can you imagine society never having like a disease, and now it has a disease, you know? And this disease, we can see how it's been brought in, and it's been traumatically mind controlled, psychically, the psyche, this soul. And this is why we get so many people who are psychotic and people who are having certain, there's a lot of repression because of what was done to them. You know what I'm saying? What was not their fault. They were abused, but then many of them become the abusers. This vid right here, Predators Amongst Us, check it out. War on the Horizon. It's on the YouTubes. Check it out for yourself. I highly, highly encourage all of the disciples, brothers and sisters who've been following these reasonings and teachings and lectures to definitely check it out. Some of these issues may affect one personally, but there's some very good advice in this vid, and putting it together with the teachings of His Majesty, one can see what to do. You understand? And there's always counsel as well. But right here concerning Zimbabwe, because we're hearing one story, we're seeing some artists, you know, some artists out there, you know, like Nas and others talking about Mugabe, you know, in a rap song, you know, wearing Negro and doing, you know, promoting what Massa doesn't mind. That keeps the Negroes living in this kind of cycle of abuse, you know, hell on earth. But Zimbabwe has had to create some new laws, and Irritated Genie points this out right here.
Here in Zimbabwe, you know, Robert Mugabe is on the forefront of fighting this madness. And the problem is getting so bad there, they never, before Europeans came, they never had laws governing sexual boys because they didn't have sexual boys. Right. They're now restructuring their laws to compensate for the fact that they have crimes that they have never seen before that they have to punish. So let's give them a round of applause for trying to do something to stop the
Yeah, these are some of the African leaders who are fighting white Eurocentric sex crimes and the pedophilia and these kind of gay adoptions and all these kind of tricks that they're playing, because you know the European, the Gentile position is desperate. Prophecy tells us that already, you know. But that does not mean, because prophecy tells us that time ends. You understand that in the interim time there is not the good fight to fight, and these are some leaders who are fighting the good fight, but of course they're being, you know, slandered in the Eurocentric press, so forth and so on. And there's the big picture there's a big picture behind that as well. So this video here is very important. And now you might be able to understand why it's so important, the Torah studies, the so-called yeshiva studies for I, the Torah studies and the application, having your eyes opened so you can see, well, what's written in the scripture, it seems like it was a fairy tale to some. These type of laws or legislation to protect the holy people, you understand, in times such as these. So we have to know the truth, my brothers and sisters. Don't get caught up on the tree of the information about good and evil things, but know the truth. You know what I'm saying? And when you know the truth, then you'll be able to get intelligence, you know what I'm saying, out of all that information. Because a lot of information out there, you know what I'm saying, but you really need to get to the root of it. You need to read about it and study it, you understand, to find the truth for yourself.
Brothers and sisters on the forefront leaders in Africa, let's show them some love for fighting this thing. Get rid of them for it. Get rid of the monster. We're going to end it up, brothers and sisters. We winding down here, but we want to talk about some habits we got to stop. Things that must stop in the black community for us to make the situation better. Most important thing, we have to stop facilitating and supporting pedophiles. That's right. We have to stop facilitating and supporting pedophiles. Somebody shall come to you and tell you somebody put their hands on them. We've got to make the effort to have something be done to stop the pain. Yes. This is a guy named Alexi Kelly, a preacher, actually got arrested for raping a 13-year-old girl in his congregation. The mama and the congregation go to the court. The mama said, if you put him in jail, it ain't going to bring my daughter's virginity back. He helped our church grow. We want it back. He wanted it back. In a permanent position. How you going to, this is why it continues to happen. I'm going to tell you something, and I hate to say this, I love my race, but I got to be honest. I believe at this moment we are the only race with this distinction. And if I'm wrong, you let me know. We're the only race of people that I know that have a sexual predator urinate on one of our doors in front of our face. And he becomes more popular after we know that he's raping our children, more lucrative, and has better support after he shows us how to sexually abuse our children than beforehand.
Now that's a classic, what the brother is saying there, Genie is saying there, it's a classic sign or symptom of Slick Willie Willieism, Slick Willie Lynchism, or what the How to Make a Slave papers speak of right there. I mean, this is so very classic right here. Even the only race, as he's saying, the only group of people, ethnic group or racial group or nation, lost people, but the only group of people who respond in this sort of way. And now, scripturally, that's Deuteronomy. There's Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 15 to 68 there for you. You understand? So we start to put this picture together, and then the whole church thing, so-called church thing. That's not church. The brother breaks it down in the earlier part of the vid. He talks about religious fanaticism. And so I was taking some notes, writing some notes, and I wrote next to religious fanaticism, black church. It's the black church that's caught up on it's not religion, it's not just religion. What the white folks and maybe their communities do, maybe just religion. But what black folks be doing is religious fanaticism, the so-called plantation, the licensed preacher plantation. Remember, there were two kinds of preachers. There was the Nat Turner type of preacher, and the brother even touches on Nat Turner and what James Baldwin and his white Euro homosexual lover tried to do to tarnish the image of Nat Turner in the hearts and minds of the lost sheep of the black people. So this video is very, very good, and it brings a lot of elements to mind. I just wanted to give you a little bit more of this right here, because I found it to be so very, surprising, but very, and I was very happy. It was surprising in the sense that one had actually done the work and taken the time and been willing to stand up here as the brother does for nearly 2 hours or more than 2 hours, almost 2.5 hours, and give I this lecture, and I support this one and say that ones need to go out and support Yehovah, and let ones know about what these brothers and sisters are doing and the truth that's being communicated and disseminated, because there most likely be a time as hearts and minds start to wake up when they'll recognize, well, how come folks are waking up from this after all we did? And then they'll be trying to follow the bird seed, so to speak, you know what I mean? And these videos and things might not be so easy to find. So make a word to the wise be sufficient. So just a little bit more of this right here, predators amongst us. You understand? What's the difference? One guy is so-called a preacher, part of the religious fanaticism. You understand? The Caesar Borgia's so-called church, and now we have this. What's R. Kelly, right? That's R. Kelly. There's just so-called R. Kelly, and what's interesting is that Africans, just since we're speaking about Africa in this as well, this is international, it's global. In other words, speaking about Africa, Africans are seeing these images. If you look at some of the Nigerian Nollywood kind of movies, and it's interesting at how this virus, in a sense, is being transmitted and the different mutations that this virus goes through. But then we have to recognize it still almost begins and ends with us. So it kind of began with us in so many different ways. Even in these latter days, it began with us, and it's infecting everyone, but it's destroying us, you know what I'm saying, the most. But it also can end and must ultimately end with us. So stop facilitating and supporting these pedophiles. But this is a morality. We're speaking about a moral order here as well. A moral, international morality, as the King of Kings teaches, and this is about I collective security. So this knowledge needs to be communicated and needs to be disseminated.
Well, I'm not going to be honest. I'll be honest. I thought this guy would be dead by now. I don't know why he ain't, but I will say this. He ain't dead because we did it. Any race of people that let you piss on their daughters, even the cracker came out of the church years ago. We said, you can't change it. I really believe it. I don't like saying it, but I really think. Because tell me if I'm wrong. I think that the cracker had a cracker that raped a white child. And it was on video. I think that those crackers would be like, this is a little too far. They'd probably knock the cracker off and do something to stop it. Which means we're doing less for the protection of our children than the beast. Than a dog or a mouse. Than an animal in the street. And we actually make them rich. What does that mean? If you want to get rich, go out and rape a black child? I ain't asking what's wrong with him. He's big. He just needs to be big. He's big. What's up with that? How can you be buying and listening to what you call music of somebody and you got a 13-year-old daughter? Somebody, are you a pedophile? If you listen to R. Kelly, I ask myself the question. What's going on, brothers and sisters? Stop facilitating this, brothers and sisters alike. It's your brother, it's your cousin. All the definitive lines of demarcation has got to go. I know this is hard. It sounds better than it is in reality because you love your brother. You love your cousin. You love your father. And you don't want to look. We got to have some rules and regulations. And we got to say, we break the chain. One thing that breaks all allegiances. You put your hands on children. That's right. We demolish. Zero tolerance. Zero tolerance. Brothers and sisters, stop making poor-based selections. The number one determination of whether or not children do well in this world is if they are raised in a home with their natural birth mother and natural birth father. We know that's not always possible with living. I'm going to just tell you just how it is. Black man, when you make the decision to bring a child to this world that you don't have anything to do with, you would make the decision to bring a child to this world to get sexually abused. There was a time when our women were strong, and after slavery, where they built us up. We have beat them down. They are not strong. They are not going to protect the children. And somebody can protect the children. Black man, you got to be around to do that. Even the best black woman in an environment like this, where sexual predators are rampant, can't do it by herself. We've got to be involved. Sisters, when you lay down and decide you, for your own selfish reasons, that you want a child with a man you don't plan on having around, you have made the decision that that child will be sexually abused. I know that's hard to say that, but I got to say it that way because I want you to think. It happens too much. It happens every day and every night. Some black child now is waiting to go home to some monsters will put their hands on them. We got to stop bringing our children into this man. Let's have mothers and fathers in the homes that are watching now. We almost out of here, but God's talking about, we're talking about the media manipulation. Here we go. Alright, we're going to do this. Y'all alright? Work with me for just a second. Let's go back a little bit. Alright, release your mind, get loose a little bit. I know it's hard this, but look. I'm going to say something, you tell me what I'm talking about. Don't be too cool. Okay. If I say, excuse me, beg your pardon, excuse me what I'm talking about. I don't know. Huh? I'm going to tell you, I don't know that. Okay. You remember, since you don't want to say it out loud, you remember Bugs Bunny. Come on, that's a classic. Alright, if I say faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a can't leap tall building. Okay, you know that one. You're a little better at that one. Alright. We watch John Wayne, Cowboys and Indians. What do we do after we watch John Wayne? Cowboys and Indians. We watch WWF, Rocky Johnson, Tony Adams. Somebody put somebody in the finger for a leg lock. What do we do out there? Who do we go outside and put in the finger for a leg lock? Somebody we have power. Somebody who we can do, we know we get away. Somebody younger, somebody who's stronger than, right? So, the things we see are the things we measure. We know what we do because when I ask you the question, you remember. So each one of these things obviously is still in our mind and has some influence, no matter how big or small. So, with that understanding, this is real evil. What I'm about to show you is so evil that I want you to, with that understanding, children do what they see. Let me show you what the beast is doing. The smart ass, the white so-called Jew, who controls the media as it relates to sexual abuse. That's why you say, stop allowing your children free reign of the television, because this is what they're watching. If you have a very young child, this may be so graphic that you may want to move your child out there. But I'm going to tell you like this. This television show is not just okay when it comes on regular television. Regular TV, if you have a TV that works, it comes on. I want you to watch. Remember what children do with what they see. Y'all ready? Let's do it.
The guidance star is running in the sky.